even at my most optimistic, I don't know if I saw this one coming, guys. 45-19 BYU. BYU might not be as good as I was giving them credit for in my pregame video, but either way, for the moment, I was not expecting something that good. And yeah, we looked as good as we did against our two cupcakes. And maybe we'll find out more about BYU later, but that was about as good as I can hope for from this iteration of Washington Husky football. Like I said, 45-19. I don't even know if that score tells the whole story. This was a game that got out of hand in the third quarter. There was one little stretch where BYU was threatening a little bit right before the end of the first half, but this was pretty much an ass kicking. And I didn't think we had this in us, guys. I thought this was going to be a close game, a tough game, and we just came out and and took it to them from the very start. So I don't really know what to complain about. Um, Maybe the only thing I can even try to pinpoint about this game today for the Huskies that needs to be worked on is discipline. We had about 4 offsides penalties in the first half. It was ridiculous how much people were jumping. We had 2 really bad pass interference penalties where the guy just isn't even looking for the ball. He's just shoving the receiver away, and it's a no-brainer call. It's just the discipline in that first half was bad, and I don't want to say BYU was excluded from it because they had a bunch of penalties too. It was a flag-happy game in general, but we need to work on that, especially the offside stuff. Like I'm not tripping about the helmet to helmet targeting call on Tyron, I think it was, where it was very borderline, and it sucks that he's going to get suspended for the first half against USC, but I think that's a very borderline call that can go either way, and I'm not mad at him for that. I'm not tripping about that, but the offside shit and the pass interferences were just ugly. I don't know how we won this game by, you know, by 30, with 26 points, 4 touchdowns basically, in given that all the mistakes that we made that led to those big penalties. But that's because we did everything else right. Offensively, Jacob Eason, the dude is incredible. The dude has a cannon arm. He's got a laser arm. He can make all the throws. He's just, I know he played at Georgia, but I keep feeling like he's brand new because he just got here, and I'm just amazed at how good he looks for a quarterback who's making his first few starts for the team. I have to remind myself that he has played college football before. So that's great. The receivers, Aaron Fuller, who I've been a little down on lately, he had a great game, and he had the monster punt return, which was just an incredible, job by him to read the blockers. He turned a touchdown today. Andre Baselli, who I'm also not enamored with in terms of his talent, took a slant pass to the house. Great play by him. Good game. Hunter Bryant picked up a third down early on our first touchdown drive that was big. Just this passing attack is, it makes me sad that what happened against California happened because number one, this conference is terrible, like worse than it's ever been maybe, and we could be cruising cruising to a Pac-12 title right now if what happened against California didn't happen. That loss looms large. And the main reason why we lost that game was our offense was in a shell. And to me, it's like, uh, sorry, ESPN's trying to play ads on me, but it's just this dude can make all the throws. This dude can get it down the field. So let's take advantage of that. And in that game, it was like we had a true freshman quarterback making his first start. He had the handcuffs on. I know he didn't play a very good game, but a lot of that was because we had the handcuffs on him. And it just drives me nuts because, in that game, for the most part, I could have sworn we had Jake Browning out there. And that game looms large in the back of my head because this conference is very winnable. And for all I know, winning the conference and going undefeated would have been good for a playoff spot, but it doesn't matter now. But today, the passing attack was beautiful. Nothing bad to say about it. Eason threw one shitty interception in the fourth when the game was over. Shouldn't have thrown it. Terrible throw, but other than that, he was basically on point. Um, and the running game. I mean, we got depth on depth. Today we missed Salvon Ahmed. He was out, and we didn't even notice hardly. Sean McGrew, monster game from him. Richard Newton had a good game as well until his fumble at the end when, again, the game was basically over. So I'm not really sweating that too much. But especially in the third quarter and the fourth quarter when we were putting this game away, we were just pounding the ball up the middle, and BYU could do nothing to stop us. So monstrous effort all around on that offense. I don't even know who I would criticize right now. Defense, they made mistakes. They were undisciplined, but they made up for it with some of the big plays they made. They forced a huge fumble. It was 14-3. BYU was driving. It was still a game, and I was like, oh boy, BYU is going to get their touchdown, and it's going to be a game, and we're going to be playing for it in the fourth quarter, and it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last, and then fumble, scoop and score, and everything just felt like, okay, we got this. I had very little concern after that play, and that was on a drive that I think a big reason why they had moved the ball was, I believe that was one of the pass interference calls where it was just like, what are you doing? And we gave up some plays. The BYU had a little bit of success running the ball with a Scupa. They had a little bit of success running the ball with Tyson Williams. They got some open receivers out there. They converted a 3rd and long on us early in this game. There were definitely problems with this defense, but they made plays, and they could have had way more. They dropped a few interceptions in this game that could have really, really blown it open. But at the end of the day, you're looking up and saying we held BYU to 19 points on the road. That's going to get the job done most of the time. We forced some big turnovers. We got some crucial stops when we really needed it. And to my mind, that's as good as this team is going to get. I don't think this team can be much better than they were against BYU. And with the youth they have on defense, with the arguable problems they might have on the offensive line, although the offensive line still should be mostly good since they only lost McGarry. But I think that is the best game the Washington Huskies can play. The maybe other than the penalties, the biggest problem we had in this game was we went for a fake field goal when Peterson didn't want us to, and there was a miscommunication. Like, that's the worst you can say about the boys today. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm pumped. I feel like I've seen the full potential of this team, and it might be good enough to win most of our games the rest of the season. It's making me feel like the California game was just, a product of shitty play calling and coaching. But yeah, we're going to get more tests down the road. We're going to play better teams than BYU coming up. I think next week is USC, and it's tough to pin them down right now. They got their backup quarterback in, but they're playing good football. So that's a challenge, and we're going to have to rise to face it. But more on that later. Today we focus on the dominant 4-quarter performance we put up on BYU. Nothing to complain about. Just clean up the penalties, and I think we can win a lot of games this year. All right, peace out. Bound on to Washington. I'm going to go watch the rest of these games. Check me out on Twitch tonight if you want to. I'm going to be streaming Kingdom Hearts 3 at some point, and see you guys later.